as they mentioned, the relocation, the right-of-way acquisition, and the utility relocation all have to comply with the Uniform Act, and you have to provide the proper documentation for that in order to get full reimbursement if funds are being reimbursed on your project. There's a wonderful website out here that FHWA created about August of 2012. It's www.fhwa.dot.gov/federal aid essentials. And I may try and click on here. Do we have enough time to take a chance and see if this connects to that or not? Just so you can see it. But they put together over 80 different little 6 to 8 minute videos that talk about a wide variety of topics related to local public agency programs. They're all available on this website. There's a section on right-of-way that has 6 or 8 different videos in there as well. This is the website. If you go up here and just go to the video library, you can scroll down, and again, those are the major categories, but right-of-way is one of those. And these are very well produced. It's showing up on mine. Minimize the other. This one? Well, now I'm really in trouble. Well, it's there. It showed up on mine, but let me go to X over here.
You keep talking.
But they're excellent videos. They're 6 to 8 minutes. They're professionally produced. It talks about relocation and what you have to do for relocation. We'd encourage you, or if you're a consultant, or if you're a TxDOT person dealing with a local government and they really don't understand what you're talking about, take them to that website, help them watch that video with you, and encourage them to go there, because it does have a lot of good information on it. But it's the FHWA Federal Aid Essentials website. It's a wonderful resource. Some other tools that we'll get to in just a minute here. As soon as the slides come back up, the Local Government Project Office has a website. We're on the TxDOT.gov website. If you go to Inside TxDOT Offices, Local Government Projects, you'll get to our website. Is this turned on? Go for it. If you go to the
You're down right down there.
okay. You may have to put it on the screen.
There we go.
Okay. This is our website. We have a local government project procedures document that's available on the website. We have some other tools as well. But if you go to Inside TxDOT Structure Local Government Projects, you'll get to our website. And some of the tools that we have available for you on there include a trifold flyer that just basically gives the requirements of local government. If you're going to take federal funds on a project, there's specific things that you have to comply with and document. They're just covered in this, so that if you're trying to present to your city councilman or your mayor or your county judge what the requirements are, if you want to use federal funds on a project, this is a great resource just to share with them and say, well, this is what we have to commit to if we want to use federal funds on this project. There's also the Local Government Project Procedures, which is actually the manual that is approved by FHWA for TxDOT to use with our local government projects, that tells what the requirements are. It has the federal legislation, the state rules that apply. That's available to download from that website as well. It was just recently updated in September of 2014. It's the most current version of that. We also have what we consider a workbook, which is about a 45-page checklist, which is a tool called the Summary of Best Practices for Local Government Projects. It also includes more than 50 different forms and checklists in it to help local governments follow the rules and give you examples of forms that you can use. You can use your own form if you like, but these are samples that show what kind of data needs to be documented, and you need to coordinate all that with your local district office and have them approve the forms to verify you're keeping all the important information. The website also has links to our training program. The Local Government Project Office conducts a 12-hour training program that if you're a local government and want to use federal funds on a project and get reimbursed, you have to have somebody become qualified by taking that training program. And so that information is all available on our local government project office website. I already mentioned what the LGPP was, so I won't go into that any more detail, but it's on the website to download. The summary of best practices, the very newest version. If you're a TxDOT person and you have a version that's got a blue or a goldenrod or a different color, main color on the CD, it's an old version. The red one is the brand new one that just came out in September. It is available on load to download as a zip file as well. And what we're in the process of doing right now, we have an advisory committee which includes representatives from user groups, including the Texas Municipal League, Texas Public Works Association, and other entities, the Texas Association of County Engineers and Road Administrators, along with the internal executive committee, overseeing us totally revamping the local government project procedures and the tools that go with it to make it one interactive tool that you'd go to the TxDOT.gov website, click on a link, and it would take you to the tool, and then you can navigate through everything you need from that one tool now, rather than have a local government project procedures manual, a summary of best practices, different forms we link you to, and the references, the state regulations and the federal regulations will all be related or linked through that one tool and available to you at that point. It's going to be based on the project development process, from a project being identified, an agreement being signed, all the way through project development, environmental, design, construction, project closeout, including right-of-way. And so it will be sequentially ordered the way the project progresses. And so we're going to incorporate all the things you can see on the screen up there into this one tool that hopefully will be very functional and help all of us do a better job on giving proper oversight and following federal and state regulations. To create that, we've gone through for every phase of the project development process and created swim lane flowcharts that have the local government responsibilities. On this slide shows up in the green, and I know you can't read it in the back. You don't need to read what's in the boxes, but it's local government responsibilities in the top, TxDOT responsibilities in the middle, FHWA's in the bottom. And the key point for this diagram is to show there's a lot of linkages between where we have to communicate with each other. You don't just start the project and come back at the end and say, okay, we're done, where's our money? We need to be talking between the local governments and the districts all the time to be sure we're on the same page so that we can follow the rules and assure that we can reimburse you the maximum amount of reimbursement based on your agreement. To contact the local government project office if you need to, the information is shown on the screen here. You can go where I said online to the Texas Local Government Project Office webpage. You can go to email through there as well. Or my phone number is up here, John, so you're not the only one that got exposed here with phone numbers. And our resources are shown there. We are a large group of 6 employees in the local government project office. The other 5 employees are shown on the screen here. If you're in the district or a local government person, you may know one of them. 3 of them are in the back of the room here. Sharon, Tom, and John, will you 3 stand up just so they can recognize your faces back there as other people that are part of our team? And with that, I think we're going to turn it over and offer for trying to answer any questions that may come up. Yes? The question was regarding advanced funding agreements between the local government and TxDOT. And the question is, if you have a current one that is based on actual cost, can that agreement be modified to become a fixed price or a lump sum agreement payment term as opposed to its current one? On the right-of-way side, Bill or Kyle, does either one of you want to respond to that?
I believe the answer is yes. I'm not absolutely sure of what the procedure would be to do that, but I know that we have seen it rare, but we have seen it done.
The rule change
through contract services.
Right. The rule change just happened at the August commission meeting, and it took effect on September 18th to have the default mechanism to be a fixed price as opposed to a specified rate or a reimbursement for actual cost. So some of the details on how that will happen are still being worked out. But contact your district contact, and they'll work with the contract services office to let you know what options there are in that regard. The other thing that was not mentioned in detail, but it's a fixed price, but if the scope of the contract changes, If the route changes and you have to start taking different property or a different utility relocation is required, the fixed price is going to be amended based on mutual agreement. It's not you're stuck with that no matter where the road goes or where the improvement goes. So it doesn't mean because it's fixed price there isn't the potential that the price will change if there's a reason that the scope in the project changed. Yes, Dave.
Does that policy apply to just the real estate, the right of way?
No, the intention as the bill was or the rule was passed by the commission is that that will be the default for all local government TxDOT jointly funded projects, is to try and make it be a fixed price rather than a specified percentage, so that you can lock in the number at the beginning, and when the project's done you don't have the same amount of validating every penny that was spent to come up with the right number at the end to figure who owes who money at the very end of the project. I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question. Did it apply to other types of parts of the project development process in the agreement as opposed to just to the right-of-way portion? And yes, it applies to all of the portions. Other questions? Yes. The question was, it shows in the one slide back here that the local government can purchase right away in the name of the state, even if it's not getting reimbursed for it. The question is that in the form of a donation, or what would that situation be that would be the case?
It wouldn't be in the form of a donation. It's the local government out there acting under the power of the state. Reasons that they might want to do that where they're not being reimbursed is there's no funding for the right-of-way project, but there's funding for the construction project, and the local government wants the project to go forward, so they're agreeing to front that cost so the department can finish up that project and do that project. Right.
Yeah. Right. That's typically the funding agreements are both parties bring something to the table, and it may be the local government is contributing the purchase of the right-of-way as part of their participation in the project to help the project move forward. Any other questions? Yes?
In the case of a local project, which is off-system project, in many cases the cities have franchise agreements by which they can cause the utilities to be moved at the utilities expense. How does that relate to utility relocation?
The question is, in many municipalities they have franchise agreements with a utility provider that if the road alignment or the right-of-way change happens, their use agreement requires the franchisee to move at their own expense, not the cost to the project. How does that relate to this presentation?
Well, if the utility is paying a franchise expense, then they don't have a property interest. It's not their own easement, correct? And if it's an off-system project, it wouldn't be an interstate or a toll road, yeah. Then in that case, then the local rule will govern how that utility is relocated.
Right. The reimbursement is if it's an eligible expense for federal or state reimbursement. In that case, it wouldn't be an eligible expense because their franchise agreement tells them they have to move it at no cost if the roadway changes. Yes?
I hate to keep going back to the fixed price agreement. Just a quick question on that. If they agree to a fixed price with the local entity and we come in $100,000 over what the estimate was, the city loves us, the entity loves us, but I haven't heard anybody say what happens if we come in $30,000 under what the fixed price is. Do we just not mention that to the local entity, or
No.
are we going to try to make an adjustment out on that?
The question is on the fixed price scenario, and I think this is talking to a construction cost or a right-of-way cost, whichever.
Just any
One of those. If the actual costs come in quite a bit above or quite a bit below the agreed upon estimate, do we just not tell each other, and what happens there? Well, it's a public record. It's available to anybody to know. My presumption is that in the signing the agreement, the local entity and TxDOT should understand that we should consider doing an amendment if actual costs come in quite a bit different than what we estimated. The goal is to minimize the complications of closing the project out at the end, not to make one person unfairly burdened by a cost that we didn't estimate correctly. It also is hoping that it will lead the local district or the local government and the district to put a little bit more energy into estimating the initial cost up front, as opposed to just saying, well, we'll guess this number and we'll figure it out at the end, to try and be more proactive in executing the agreement and estimating costs accurately at the beginning, and then providing amendments as appropriate if the scope changes or costs come in quite a bit differently. Because either party has the ability then to cancel the contract if the prices are way out and one party's expense is way higher than was expected. And so the goal is to advance the project with each party incurring their appropriate portion of the cost.
And so I think we're going to work much harder to come up with more accurate estimates, and then by agreement we will agree not to seek any future any overage. If there's an overage in the project, we will not seek those additional costs, as will the local not agree not to seek costs for any underruns if the project comes in under.
It's an agreement not to push risk on one or the other, but to expedite the
Right.
processing.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Not what you think on time.
Right.
Correct.
It also helps in planning, budgeting for both the locals and the department. There's also still the option to do an actual cost agreement. It does require executive director approval, but there still is that option.
Correct. Any other questions? Sheila, we all done? Did you want to come give closing remarks or anything? Or?
I'm going to tell them to give you a round of applause.
Thank you all for attending.